friends. I have another story about Amelia Bedelia. We read a story about Amelia Bedelia. She's in our 17th video, so you have to get all the way close to the beginning and you can find another one. This one is called Amelia Bedelia and the Surprise Shower. It's by Peggy, Parish, and the pictures are by Fritz, Siebel. Are you ready? Amelia Bedelia likes to understand things very, very much, just as the words are. She has a hard time making pictures out of the words. So we're going to see maybe some misunderstandings in this book. And they're good for a laugh. Are you ready? There was a knock at the back door. Coming, coming, called Amelia Bedelia. She opened the door. Oh, it's you, Cousin Alkaloo, she said. Do come in. Mrs. Rogers asked me to help out today, said Alkaloo. Is she having a party or something? Every Tuesday, said Amelia Bedelia, some ladies get together. They just sew and talk. But today, Miss Alma is in for a real surprise. Those other ladies are giving Miss Alma a shower. A shower? Said Alkaloo. A surprise shower, said Amelia Bedelia. Now, why would they do that to her? Asked Alkaloo. Miss Alma is nice. Oh, Miss Alma is nice. I don't know, said Amelia Bedelia. She is about to get married. They should do something nice for her. She can give herself a shower. Oh, your folks do have funny ways, said Alkaloo. When we do showers for people just about to get married or just about to have a baby, we're giving them presents. And we say it's like showering them. Like when you get into the bathtub and the water comes down to get you clean, we are pretending that you are getting covered like with water, but with presents instead. But they don't understand that. They think that they're really going to put her in the bathtub and pour water on her. Say, are you cooking something? My cupcakes, said Amelia Bedelia. She ran to the oven. Just right, she said. They need to cool a bit. Then I will ice them. Mr. Rogers came in. Good morning, Amelia Bedelia. Good morning, Alkaloo, said Mr. Rogers. My, what a nice lot of fish, said Amelia Bedelia. Look at all the fish Mr. Rogers caught. He looks like he's a pretty good fisherman. They should taste good, said Mr. Rogers. Please scale them and ice them. What will she do? All right, said Amelia Bedelia. Say, Mr. Rogers, did you ever hear of giving somebody a surprise shower? Oh, yes, said Mr. Rogers. It's like a surprise party, and they shower the person with gifts, with presents. That is why they call it a shower. Mr. Rogers looked at his watch. I have to go to town, he said. Mr. Rogers left the kitchen. Bye-bye, Mr. Rogers. By the way, Amelia Bedelia, said Alkaloo, Mrs. Rogers told me to prune the hedge. Could you show me how? Oh, I would be glad to, said Amelia Bedelia. She went to the cupboards and she took out a box of prunes. These are fruit. When you prune a hedge, you cut the branches and the leaves off of it. But she thinks it's the fruit. Amelia Bedelia and Alkaloo went to the hedge. Now, said Amelia Bedelia, you take a prune and you stick it on like this. Is that all there is to it? Asked Alkaloo. Prune it well, said Amelia Bedelia. I don't think this is what she wanted. She didn't want fruit put onto her bushes. She wanted her bushes cut. We use prune in different ways. Mrs. Rogers likes things done right, Amelia Bedelia went into the kitchen. Oh, I plumb forgot my cupcakes, she said, and I must make that chocolate icing. Amelia Bedelia put some of this and a little of that in a big pot. She's a very good cook. She stirred, and then she Tasted the icing just right, she said. Amelia Bedelia began to ice her cakes. When you ice a cake, you put the frosting on it. That's what it means to ice a cake. You don't actually get ice from the freezer. The fish, she said. Mr. Rogers said to scale them and ice them. So this is a scale for weighing, but fish have scales and you have to take the scales off. So she's scaling them by weighing them instead of taking the scales off. Amelia Bedelia got the scales and she piled the fish on them. There, she said. You just scale yourselves while I ice the cakes. And Amelia Bedelia iced her cakes. Those do look nice, she said. And there's enough icing left to ice the fish, too. We have another mistake. It's right to ice cakes with chocolate frosting. We don't put chocolate frosting on fish. We're actually supposed to put them into the cold water, the ice. Amelia Bedelia picked up the fish by its tail. I hope you have scaled long enough, she said. Oh, no. She iced one side of the fish, then she iced the other side of the fish. Amelia Bedelia worked until the last fish was iced. That takes care of you, she said. Amelia Bedelia put the iced fish and the iced cakes in the cupboard. Mrs. Rogers came into the kitchen. Oh no, this is a mistake. Amelia Bedelia, use this tablecloth for the table, she said. Do run over it first with an iron. And we need some cut flowers, said Mrs. Rogers. She went out the back door. Amelia Bedelia unfolded the tablecloth. She put it on the floor, and then Amelia Bedelia got the iron, and she ran all over the tablecloth. I don't think this is what she wanted. Oh, no. She wanted the iron to go over the tablecloth to be made flat and smooth. Instead, it's got Amelia Bedelia's footprints all over it. Uh-oh, I don't think that was the plan. Amelia Bedelia tries so hard. She's a hard worker. Amelia Bedelia put the tablecloth on the table. Alkaloo came over to Amelia Bedelia. That takes care of that, he said. I even have some prunes left, so I pruned the other bushes too. That does look nice, she said. Mrs. Rogers will be mighty pleased. Do you think that she's going to be mighty pleased when she finds her fruit all outside? Amelia Bedelia and Alkaloo met Mrs. Rogers at the back door. Mrs. Rogers came in with a bunch of flowers. She put them on the kitchen table. Amelia Bedelia, she said, use the large silver bowl for the cut flowers. All right, said Amelia Bedelia. Mrs. Rogers left the kitchen. If only she knew that there was fish in the cupboard with chocolate icing on them. She came right back with a basket of gifts. Oh, these are for Miss Alma's shower, she said. We will start sewing as we always do, and then when all the ladies are here, we will say, surprise! Then comes the shower. Can you and Alkaloo take care of everything? Oh, yes, said Amelia Bedelia. We will see to everything. These flowers are so pretty, said Amelia Bedelia. It's a shame to cut them. Well, she said cut the flowers, said Alkaloo. Let me help you. Oh, no. They're cutting the flowers off and just dropping the flower heads into the into the base instead of snipping right here at the end of the stems. So Amelia Bedelia and Alkaloo fixed a bowl of cut flowers. We do have some figuring out to do, she said. I thought those ladies were supposed to be giving the shower, and here we are giving it. Oh, if we had known, said Alkaloo, we could have fixed up something fancy. It's too late for that now, said Amelia Bedelia. The two of them went outside. Amelia Bedelia saw the garden hose. Think that will do? Look it. Uh-oh. They've got all of the presents I don't think the presents need any water, do you? Well, it's not really a shower, said Amelia Bedelia, but it's the next best thing. I will give her gifts and you can shower her. The gifts will get wet, said Alkaloo. They are shower gifts, said Amelia Bedelia. What if they do get wet? We will get wet too. Well, said Alkaloo, we can put on something else. What a good idea, said Amelia Bedelia. Hide these gifts first. She's sticking them into the bushes, said Alkaloo. Amelia Bedelia hid the basket of gifts under some bushes. It's time to get ready. A bit later, Amelia Bedelia heard a car stop. Here come the ladies, she called to Mrs. Rogers. Mrs. Rogers hurried out to meet them. Mrs. Ralph came first. And with her came 4 children. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, they shouted, prunes on the hedge. The children went racing past. They see all of the fruit on the hedge. More and more ladies came. They began to sew, but Miss Alma did not come. Where is Miss Alma? Everybody asked, but nobody knew. Mrs. Rogers looked at the table. Footprints, said Mrs. Rogers. Amelia Bedelia, what did you do to that tablecloth? I ran over it with an iron, said Amelia Bedelia. Should I have taken my shoes off first? Oh, never mind, said Mrs. Rogers. Amelia Bedelia, where are the cut flowers? Oh my, said Amelia Bedelia. I forgot them. Amelia Bedelia ran in and got the flowers. Mrs. Rogers looked at the bowl. Amelia Bedelia, she cried. What did you do to those flowers? I cut them, said Amelia Bedelia. You said fix a bowl of cut flowers. Poor Amelia Bedelia doesn't understand. Just then, Miss Alma drove up. Here she is, said the ladies. Sorry to be late, said Miss Alma, but I have a headache. I am sorry, said Mrs. Rogers. You just sit down. Mrs. Rogers turned to Amelia Bedelia. Are you ready for the shower? She asked. We will need a minute or two, said Amelia Bedelia, and she called Alkaloo. They went back of the house. They're in their swimming clothes. And there stood Amelia Bedelia and Alkaloo in bathing suits. All right, called Amelia Bedelia. We are ready. Oh no. Then all of the ladies shouted, surprise! Surprise! Shouted Amelia Bedelia. She ran out with the gifts and dumped them on Miss Alma's lap. Here are the gifts, she said. Look at all of the presents. Alkaloo came right behind her with the hose. And here's the shower, he shouted, and he squirted her. Oh no, that's not what we do in showers. A shower, a shower. Look at, the kids really like it. They jumped into the shower with Miss Alma. All the ladies screamed too, and they jumped out of the shower. They did not come to get wet. They say, no, thank you. Miss Alma leaped up. Her gifts flew all over the place. How dare you, she shouted. Miss Alma was angry. She didn't like the water. She was very angry. Amelia Bedelia, Alkaloo, shouted Mrs. Rogers. Turn off that water this minute. Were they trying to be mean? No, they were not trying to be mean. Amelia Bedelia and Alkaloo turned off the water. Did you see how mad Miss Alma was? Asked Alkaloo. I don't think she liked our shower, said Amelia Bedelia. Maybe some hot tea will help her. Amelia Bedelia and Alkaloo went into the kitchen. I'll take the tea things, said Amelia Bedelia. She's trying to make things right. She knows that she made her angry. You bring the cupcakes. Here is the tea, said Amelia Bedelia. Thank goodness for that, said Mrs. Rogers. That chocolate looks good, said Mrs. Ralph. Help yourself, said Mrs. Rogers. Do you remember what she put chocolate on? She put it on 2 things, remember? Cake and fish. Mrs. Ralph helped herself to the biggest piece. She took her fork. Mrs. Ralph tried to cut it, but it would not cut. And Mrs. Ralph wanted that chocolate, so she picked it up and bit it. Ah! She screamed, "Fish! Raw fish!" Mrs. Ralph was angry. She was very angry. Nobody wants to bite into raw fish without knowing what it is. That's a bad surprise. Mr. Rogers came out just then. He heard what Mrs. Ralph said. "Fish?" he shouted. "Amelia Bedelia, what did you do to my fish?" "I iced them," said Amelia Bedelia. Now Mr. Rogers was angry too. He went and caught all of that fish and she put chocolate on it. Suddenly, Miss Alma started laughing. Everybody looked at her. She jumped up and threw her arms around Amelia Bedelia. "You are wonderful," said Miss Alma. "My headache is all gone. That surprise shower was just what I needed." Then Mrs. Ralph laughed. "Amelia Bedelia," she asked, "did you prune the hedge?" "Cousin Alkaloo did that," said Amelia Bedelia. "Then he is wonderful too," said Mrs. Ralph. "See how happy my children are? They have never been this good." What are they doing to poor Alkaloo? And suddenly, everybody was laughing. Sometimes we make mistakes, and we just need to laugh about them. Mistakes happen, huh? Mrs. Rogers began to pour the tea. Amelia Bedelia served the chocolate cupcakes. That's a good thing. And the ladies said that they were the best cakes they had ever eaten. "That was so much fun," said all the ladies, and they laughed some more, and then they helped pick up Miss Alma's gifts. And they were still laughing when they left. Bye-bye! Amelia Bedelia is not afraid of hard work and loves to help people. She doesn't always understand, so people around her get lots of chances to laugh, don't they? I'll talk with you later. Bye.